So if you replay decisions after you make them, question yourself at night, or just feel mentally exhausted from second guessing yourself, then you need to listen to this. You don't struggle because you lack confidence. You struggle because you don't trust your own judgment. Welcome to the Drew Chaz Podcast. This is the podcast built for introverts with big goals and busy minds. I'm your host, Drew, and around here, we don't silence our thoughts, we sharpen them. Every week, I give you the mindset frameworks, clarity formulas, and quiet power strategies that help keep introverts and deep thinkers just like you to move forward without pretending to be louder or bolder or more extroverted. If you're ready to turn overthinking into clarity, turn hesitation into action, and build success your way, well, you're definitely in the right place. So let's get right to it. Welcome back. I'm Drew, and today we're going to be talking about self-trust. You know, there used to be a saying that I heard years and years ago that said, trust is a must or your game is a bust. And I used to just crack up with that or just mess around with it, but it's absolutely true. And it doesn't just mean trusting others. It's trusting yourself as well. As we talk about self-trust for introverts, we're not talking about motivation and we're not talking about no confidence hacks. We're talking about real trust in your own thinking so that you stop reopening decisions and you quit draining your energy. So if you think deeply and you weigh your options carefully, but you still feel unsafe after your decision, then this episode is definitely for you. Because you're going to be able to tell the difference between intuition and fear and how to build real trust by just using simple proof that you can repeat. And my intention is not about you leaving this podcast feeling hyped. It's about you feeling steady. So in this episode, we're going to talk about these three things, and we're going to focus on them. Number one is why introverts doubt themselves after decisions instead of before. And second, we're going to talk about why fear pretends to be intuition and it just keeps you stuck. And third, we're going to talk about why self-trust grows through small evidence and not pep talks. So let's start with what's really happening in your head and why introverts continue to question themselves after making a decision. The thing is, most introverts do not rush making decisions. I mean, you think and you research, you consider impacts, and you imagine outcomes. And from the outside, people think that you struggle with your decisions. But actually, that's totally wrong because you struggle after you make the decision, right? You choose, and then your brain goes to work. And then you begin to second guess yourself. What if I missed something? Or what if there was a better option? And even worse, what if this was the wrong move? But let me tell you right now, this isn't a weakness. This is a pattern of recognition without closure. Your mind stays open because you never trained it to close the loop. And if you think about it, many introverts while growing up were praised for being thoughtful and careful and smart. But somewhere along the way, being smart turned into you not having the ability to close or make some closure. Being careful turned into never being finished. So what happens is every decision becomes a draft and not a final version. And what does this always lead to? Total exhaustion. And not because the decision was hard, it's because you just keep reliving it. You know, as an introvert, sometimes we get lost and caught up in the tricks that our mind plays on us. But you don't struggle because of lack of confidence. You struggle because you don't know how your mind is wired. So if you're an introvert, your power is already there. You analyze, you see the patterns, and you think ahead. But most introverts never learn how to use these strengths on purpose. That's why I created the Introvert Superpower Quiz. This quiz shows you how to make decisions, why you get stuck, and where your real leverage lies. Not personality fluff, but real insight you can use right away. If you've ever felt like you're capable of more but can't explain why you stall, this quiz will give you clarity. So go to the show notes and I'm going to post a link for you to take that quiz and find out what powers you already possess as an introvert. Take the quiz. So listen to this. What happens is that self-trust breaks down when you do not allow those decisions to stand. Let me tell you the difference between intuition and fear. And this is where many introverts get confused. And introverts tell themselves, I'm just listening to my intuition. But really, what they're listening to is fear that's dressed up as responsibility. So let's slow this down a little bit. So, intuition is calm, it does not rush you, it doesn't threaten you, and it feels settled even when the outcome is unknown. Also, fear is loud inside your head, and fear pushes that urgency and it asks the same questions again and again and again. And one of the worst things that fear asks is, what if I've ruined everything by the decision I make? And when you're in bed at night and you can't sleep because you keep replaying those decisions over and over, well, let me tell you, that is not intuition. It's fear trying to reopen the door. As an introvert, you feel this more because you think internally. There's no noise outside, so all of that noise stays on the inside. Learning self trust is naming what voice you're hearing. But to keep it simple, if it feels frantic, it's definitely fear. But if it feels steady, it's definitely intuition. You don't need to obey fear to be responsible. So let me tell you how self trust is built by proof. Self trust doesn't come from saying affirmations in the mirror. It does come from evidence and small evidence. Every time you make a decision that you don't override yourself, you build that self trust. And every time you follow through, even though you're unsure, you're teaching your brain that you are safe. What's bad is that most introverts await certainty without moving. But you know what? That day never comes because trust is built after movement, not before. So think about this. How many decisions did you make last year that turned out just fine? I would have to say that it's probably most of them, right? But what happens is that your brain remembers the hesitation. It doesn't remember the outcome. And we fix this by creating proof. And it's not big proof, it's just small proof by choosing and staying with that choice. So as usual, I'm going to give you one quick challenge. And here it is. Today, just make one small decision. Just make it low risk, not dramatic. And then don't revisit it for at least 24 hours. No rethinking, no reopening, and no mental review. But at the end of the day, notice this. Did the world fall apart? Did you survive? Did the decision stand? And this is how self-trust starts. One decision at a time. Look, you don't lack confidence. You lack closure. Your mind stays open because you never trained it to make that decision, because you never trained it to finish. Fear sounds urgent, but intuition feels steady and settled because trust grows through action, not certainty. So here's some of the things we learned today. Overthinking after decisions breaks that self-trust. Number 2 is fear often pretends to be intuition. Number 3 is that self-trust forms through repeated follow-through. And then 4 is small proof beats endless analysis. So in conclusion, just remember you're not broken and you are totally thoughtful. You don't need to think less. You just need to trust what you already know. Decisions don't need to be perfect. They just need permission to stand. And in turn, you are allowed to move forward with certainty. This is really good stuff. And by now, you should be feeling much calmer and less stress about being perfect. And you got to be willing to make that move. Remember, your analytical mind isn't what's holding you back. It's your strength when you totally trust yourself. Thanks so much for listening to the Drew Chaz Podcast. If today's episode gave you a spark of clarity, the best way to support the show is to follow, leave a quick review, and share it with another introvert who needs the message and the encouragement. And remember, your analytical mind isn't the problem. It's your power when you know how to use it. So keep thinking deeply, keep moving forward, and most of all, you be you.